I want to cover one of the questions that we all might ask ourselves from time to time, and that's where do we come from? I think that's such a relevant question to us, not just today, but it's always been where do we come from? And once we find out where we come from, I think it helps us figure out a little bit more of where we're going, what we're capable of doing, and things like that. So I'm gonna take a look at some examples or some theories of where we come from, and it's up to you. You make the choice which one you want to go with, which one resonates with you more. The first one is that some people say that we're a colonization from other civilizations, right? Well, what that theory states that other aliens or another species of a more advanced civilization actually farmed us here or they planted us here, and that's where we came from, right? And let's just say hypothetically that was the case. That's a pretty good answer. That's amazing. That's where we came from. Now my heart is easy. Now I know where I came from. Well, not really. Because now my question is, where did those aliens come from? And to that, a lot of people might say, well, they came from a more advanced civilization of aliens, right? And then the question is, well, where did they come from? Well, from a more advanced civilization of aliens. And then we go down this rabbit hole of where did they come from, because we know that everything has a beginning, right? We know everything that was created has a beginning. So it's like, okay, well, that's cool if we came from aliens, but I want to know where they came from. I want to find the origin of everything. Where did everything come from? So then the next plausible explanation could be, well, the Big Bang. Let's talk about the Big Bang. Well, the Big Bang states that this decimal, right, exploded and caused everything that's in existence to exist. And throughout evolution, the primordial soup, it started to develop single-celled organisms that one day turned into what we are today. The diversity that we see came from that explosion of that small decimal. And that's like, wow, that's amazing, right? I love that explanation, because you look into the cosmos and you can definitely see that, because you see different planets and their how they exist at the moment. It's like, wow, they don't look like they're inhabitable. Maybe at one point they were, or maybe at one point they will, through millions and millions of years of evolution. Wow, that makes sense. But not scientifically, right? Because if science itself states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, then where did this decimal get the energy to explode into everything that we know today? That doesn't sit well with me, because that means that energy had to have already existed in order for that decimal to explode, because again, energy cannot be created or destroyed. So that means that decimal exploding had the energy in it already to produce the results that we see today. So the question is, where did this energy come from? Because who made this energy? Who created this energy? Do you see where I'm going? Somebody had to have created, because I mean, what I'm trying to say is, like, how can something exist out of nothing? You can't even say there was space. Like, you can't even say that this decimal exploded into space, because space didn't exist. I'm talking about pre-existence. I'm talking about before anything ever existed. Where did it all come from? And let's just say from that little decimal. Where was that little decimal in the first place? It couldn't have been floating in the middle of space, in the middle of the universe, because the known universe didn't exist until then. And if it was inside another parallel universe or something like that, where did that universe come from? And that's the thoughts that I'm thinking. Where did that universe come from? Where did the first beginning of everything start? Right? Don't you ask yourself that question? And I'm sober. A little bit. I'm just kidding. So, which leads us to God. God created us. And we can fight this and let's just say that, well, who created God? Well, God, another God created God that's more powerful. And we'll go down the same rabbit hole we did with the aliens, because another stronger God created this God and this God and this God. Well, what about the first God ever existing, right? Or what about that first source that ever existed where we all came from? Think about that. If you trace beginnings to beginnings, we know everything has a beginning. Everything has a creator. So then you go tracing it back, and we'll just say we're at the most infinite God right there. There he is. But who made him? Right? And whoever made him had to have a creator, right? So then the logical conclusion is that at one point, right, there has to be something that is so powerful in and of itself that has always existed and will always exist. Something that needed no creator. Why? Because it is a creator and creation at the same time. See, what created the source was nothing, because God always existed and will always exist. And that blows my mind to understand that is our origin. That is where we came from.